Hello everyone, this is Brett Darian, and today we're going to look at this Victrola 80s style boombox. It features a cassette deck, an FM radio, and on the side over here it's got inputs for an SD card, a USB drive, and as well as a 3.5mm auxiliary jack. And it also has Bluetooth as well. So this is a retro boombox. A retro style boombox with modern, modern tech in it. The only thing it's missing is a CD player, but I mean, who listens to CDs nowadays? Victrola is selling this on their website right now for $130. This one in particular I got used from eBay. It did not come with the original box, and it did not come with a manual. But it does seem to be in fairly good shape. I believe a pawn shop or something may have had this, because you can see some sticker residue here on the side. Well, I don't know if you can see that. It's right there. Some sticker residue. So I think some kind of shop may have had this and they couldn't sell it. So let's take just a brief overview of this boombox. You see we got a retro style looking analog tuner. You got stereo speakers, you got these little tweeters up here which don't really do a whole lot, but there is a little bit of sound coming out of them. The stereo speakers, they sound fine, they get really loud. We'll go more into that later. And of course you got your FM antenna up here. Well, there's the telescoping antenna. And you also have a carry handle right here. So that's very nice. And on the back, this can run on 8 D-size batteries, and as well as 2 AA batteries. I'm assuming that's for the Bluetooth. And to my surprise, this actually was manufactured this year, May of 2019, so this is a fairly new product. Now, overall, this boombox does work pretty well. It sounds pretty good. Speakers get really loud. But one problem, though, that I did notice is with the cassette player. Now, for one thing, you may have heard that the slower that the cassette deck door opens, the higher quality it is. That is probably the slowest cassette door that I have ever seen. But I don't think that represents quality in this case, though. It's just the... If you see in the bottom there is like a gear right there, and that's just very stiff. That'll probably loosen with time. But apparently, though, one particular problem that I have noticed with this particular deck is if I pop in a tape here, and when you rewind, well, first you gotta turn it on first. And so when you rewind it, the tape rewinds fine. But then when you fast forward, you may notice that it's making more noise when it's fast forwarding. And I have noticed that several times. Again, this is rewind, and it's rewinding fine. But fast forwarding, and you can see there, it's completely stopped moving. So this particular boombox I have has a problem with fast forwarding. And I will try to give you a closer look at that right now. So we're going to fast forward here. And you can see the reels in there. You can see how it's kind of like... And there it's stopping. So it's kind of like it's spinning and then stopping real quick and then spinning again. But again, rewind is just fine. But then when you fast forward again, you see that definitely gives problems. Sometimes in order to fast forward the tape, you actually have to take the tape out and flip it around and then rewind on that side, and then that fast forwards the other side. But of course, that is not the ideal way. You're supposed to go on the side you want. And sometimes it does work, but it's very noisy, and sometimes it will completely stop, as you've seen. So this is probably just my particular model. but that does make me question the build quality of these things. Here's a close-up of the fast-forwarding issue. So of course when you press fast-forward with no tape in it, the gear does spin. But if there's any kind of like resistance or pressure to it, you can see there that it will stop. But when you rewind, you know, there is no such problem on the rewind. But again, with fast forwarding, you can see here that the gear will strip very easily while fast forwarding. So if there's any kind of resistance on the tape, that it will stop fast forwarding. But once again, on rewind, there is none of that. So I'm not sure if there's a fix for this. It's not really a huge big deal, but it is annoying. So I'm not sure if that can be fixed or not. You can open the back of this machine up, but it's probably nothing that can be fixed from back there. But if anyone has any suggestions on that, do let me know. And here's a close look at the tape heads. See, the tape heads are very clean. Maybe some dust on the plastic. It's probably a very generic tape head, especially for a modern cassette player. They're probably all the same. So as for features for this boombox, you have a clock right here in the top left corner. This can be set manually using these buttons. And like I said earlier, you do have an analog FM radio tuner. And you also have level meters here, and I think these are actual level meters. They're not just volume meters. They actually are level meters for the sound. And you have a power button or standby button, and that turns it on or off. And you have this button here, which switches between USB and the SD card. And for your digital tracks, you have previous track, next track, play and pause and stop. And you also use this button for pairing Bluetooth and also to switch to the auxiliary input. Your typical piano key style for your cassette player controls. And you got your tuning knob and your volume knob. And up here on the top you have your function switches, switch between tape, radio, Bluetooth, and your USB or SD card. And for when you're using the radio, you have your AM band, your FM band, and FM stereo. So now let's give this thing a try. First we'll test out the radio. So we just press the standby button, and we'll turn the function switch to radio. And this little screen here just shows what current function you're in. So this says RAD, that's short for radio.
Then the ESA is going to launch a pro.
So reception seems to be okay.
Commentary presented by Roche Diabetes Care.
You do have a little light right here that shows when it's getting a stereo signal. But one thing I noticed about modern boomboxes and modern stereos in general is that you have to have a really strong, reliable signal to get FM stereo. So even if the signal seems to be strong enough to be able to hear it clearly, it may not be strong enough to actually get a stereo signal, which kind of sucks.
You said it must have worked because he's 6'2" and I'm 5'4". Oh, a little bit.
That works. Ouch. I know.
So the FM band comes in okay. It's picking up strong signals, but some weak stations are not coming in. So not the best FM receiver. So now we'll switch to AM.
Some of the historical data shows us that prices tend to hold from now. For Christmas travel, we recommend.
So this picked up a few AM stations. I don't really listen to AM, so I don't know what all stations there are around here. But it is picking up a few, so that's good. I mean, so AM reception, I'm going to say, is good. And FM is good as well. So now we'll try out the cassette player. For this, I'm going to play a cassette that I made. This was when I was in Austin, Texas last year. So we'll pop that in. And I will try to play you a few brief samples.
We never know what we have. We never knew what we had.
Next up is the Bluetooth function, so we'll switch to that. There you go, that's Bluetooth. So you can pair it with any Bluetooth device like your cell phone. And mine's already been paired, so it automatically switched. So now I'm paired with Bluetooth on my phone. So now I should be able to just go to any song on YouTube or anywhere else on my phone, and it will play through the boombox. So next up is the USB function. So I'll demonstrate that now. To switch it to USB. And right now it says no USB, but I do have a little USB thumb drive. So all you gotta do is plug that into here on the side. You got your USB, this is your SD card, this is your headphone jack, and your 3.5mm in. So I'm just gonna plug this into here, and then it'll automatically start playing the first track that it finds. And we can skip tracks, or we can go back tracks. So I'll just find a random number to pick here. Well, that's weird. Alright, well it just went back to track 1 for some reason. I'm not sure why. We'll try going the other way. So there's 135 tracks on here total that it's found. There are these weird noises that happen whenever you skip a track, or it's like this little squeaking sound. I don't know if you can hear it. Seems like it only makes it when you go back a track. That's kind of funny.
When I was younger, I saw my daddy cry.
So the USB function seems to be working fine. I'm not sure if you can hook up USB hard drives to this. You probably could, just as long as it finds an MP3 file. Now, I do not have any SD cards to actually test the SD card function, but I'm pretty sure it probably works the same as the USB function. So the last thing I will try is the auxiliary input jack, which I will again use my phone for this. And just hook up a 3.5mm jack into the side. And then you press this button here to go to the auxiliary. And funny enough, you have to use the auxiliary function on the Bluetooth function, so keep that in mind. But just like before though, just play any music off your phone, off YouTube or anything, and then it will start playing off the boombox.
Are you free this evening? Now shall we? What time shall I meet you? À quelle heure verrai-je? May I take you home? Puis-je vous ramener chez vous?
Thank you. It's been a wonderful evening.
So all functions of the boombox seem to be working properly. The only problem again is the fast forwarding on this machine. For some reason it is messed up. Now one last thing I would like to do is actually test the sound quality of this boombox compared to two other boomboxes I have. One of them is the Sony CFD S70. This is another new boombox you can buy today, and it's a lot cheaper than this one here. This only costs about $60 at most stores, and it has a CD player as well as a cassette player and a radio, but it does not have any Bluetooth or USB or an SD card, but it does have an auxiliary input, so it still has pretty much everything you would need. So I'm going to test this out, and the other boombox I have is a Magnavox boombox. Now this one is really old. We bought this brand new from an actual Magnavox store, so this is probably like going on 20 years old now. We've had it for that long. This one is pretty worn out, but it still works. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to play a tape with a song from the YouTube audio library on it, which I did record with the Victrola boombox, and I will play them in all three boomboxes, and we'll see if one of them sounds better than the other. Now, these two boomboxes here have a bass boost feature, which I will have turned on. The Victrola does not have a bass boost function, so whatever sound you hear out of this is what you're going to get, so you better be happy with it. But these two do have a bass boost feature, and for the most part, you just leave that on anyway. So these two boomboxes will have their bass boost feature on, and this one will just be, you know, whatever sound comes out of it. you heard, the Magnavox definitely has the most bass. These two here definitely lack in the bass department. Though they still sound okay, they have a little bit of bass, but this one definitely has way more bass. So no new boombox is going to sound like an older boombox like this one. So if you're looking for a boombox that has a lot of sound, a lot of rich, deep bass and everything, well, you probably want to get an older boombox like this. One that's probably like at least 10, 15 years old, maybe more than that. And they will probably sound the best, though they may be worn out, and they also won't have any modern features like Bluetooth and maybe even maybe no auxiliary jack either. But they will still have a cassette player and a CD player, so, and that may be all you need. Because even though this one has all these extra features, I don't know if I'll really even use them. The only thing I'll probably use most of the time is the cassette player and maybe the radio. So overall, the Victrola is a nice looking boombox, especially if you like the 80s aesthetic. But overall, though, as far as functionality, I don't think it's actually worth $130. I would definitely pay probably less than $100 for it if you can find it somewhere used. So overall, I think this is overall a novelty. Like, it's a nice boombox to have in your collection. But if you're actually looking for a very high quality, a very great sounding boombox, you would probably just be better off finding a used one that's older, that has better sound. Now, as for the Victrola versus the Sony, they both actually kind of sound the same to me. The Victrola may get a little louder, and the sound may be a little bit better, but the Magnavox, though, definitely, you know, takes the cake in the sound department. But overall, guys, though, that's my video on the Victrola boombox. So, hope you guys enjoyed. Feel free to like, comment, and favorite if you want to. And thank you guys for watching, and I will see you next time.